Hey guys, Jake here. A tomb raider is betrayed by his boss, but a crow-shaped relic sends him back in time, giving him a second chance to take revenge. It's like solo leveling, but with the classic time travel twist of going back to rewrite the past and change your fate. Sounds pretty awesome, right? So, let's get started. The anime begins deep inside a dungeon, strewn with corpses, where a figure is locked in battle with a massive serpent. He slashes at the serpent with his sword, but barely scratches it, forcing him to dodge its attacks before going all in, only for the snake to smash him into a wall with its tail, and then lunge to devour him. He narrowly escapes, leaping at the beast and channeling his energy into his blade to pierce its skull. But the sword shatters in the process, still alive. The serpent clamps down on one of his legs, and though his sword is broken, he keeps stabbing at its eye relentlessly. The creature then traps both his legs and starts smashing him against everything around them. As he begins to black out, he asks himself how Kwon Tae-jun could have done this to him. And a flashback reveals the leader of an organization ordering him to complete his mission properly in exchange for a generous reward, though his smile is unsettling. Back in the present, we learn our protagonist is Seo Joo-hyun, age 38, who realizes he's about to die. But just before the serpent swallows him, a mysterious voice booms inside his head, and time itself seems to freeze. The voice asks if he can hear it. Confused, Joo-hyun replies that he's always been able to hear relics, though he doesn't know which god this one belongs to. Still, if it's really there, he begs it to destroy the snake and get him out. The voice only laughs if he honestly believes he'll survive in that body, and Joo-hyun realizes he no longer has legs. Even if the voice kills the serpent, he won't be able to walk away. It tells him he was saved by pure chance, doubts he'll last much longer, warns him of a miserable end, and laments that someone with his talent was born in the wrong era, unable to use the tricks he has up his sleeve. Joo-hyun snaps back that the voice is just talking without knowing anything about him. He never wanted to live like this either, and swears he'll do whatever it takes to kill Kwon Tae-jun. With that vow, the top of the tower lights up, and the voice replies that killing him would be a waste of his talent. Light floods the area, and a crow wreathed in a golden aura appears before Joo-hyun, telling him it will give him a chance to climb to the true throne if he's capable, then channels its power into him, restoring his body and filling him with overwhelming energy. He finds himself sitting and wondering whether that crow was a hero-class relic or a divine one, though he doubts it, before realizing his legs have regenerated and he's no longer in the dungeon. He's in a police station, and he wonders what on earth he's doing there. His thoughts are interrupted by an old woman beside him insisting the man is crazy and that he should be the one interrogated. The officer reminds them they're in an interrogation and asks for his name, but Joo-hyun, still stunned, struggles to compose himself. The officer grumbles about the suspect's lack of cooperation, calling it a sad way to start the year 2025. And hearing this, Joo-hyun is floored because 2025 was 15 years ago, meaning he's traveled back in time. Remembering the crow's promise of a chance at the true throne, he starts to smile, prompting the old woman to snap at him to answer the questions instead of laughing and muttering. Looking at her more closely, he recognizes her, and recalls shoving the punk sitting next to him after the kid tried to bother him, sending him sprawling as if he'd been waiting for the moment. The woman tells him he hit her son, who's barely in high school. He tries to figure out how to handle it, remembering that 15 years ago they demanded an outrageous settlement, forcing him to beg on his knees to get it reduced since he had no money at the time. Lost in thought, the woman loses patience and tries to slap him, but he catches her hand and tells her to knock it off since it was her son who started it, adding that they're asking for way too much money and that rich people truly are the worst. The kid feigns outrage and attacks Joo-hyun, who neutralizes him with ease, slamming him to the ground. Stunned at how light and fast he feels, Joo-hyun guesses it's because he doesn't yet have the relic sickness and has retained the combat skills he honed over 15 years. He gets excited thinking he can get rich off this, then catches himself remembering what he's just done. As the kid warns him, he'll regret it. In the next scene, Joo-hyun is thrown into a holding cell while the old woman continues arguing outside and the officers ask her to calm down. He wonders what she's even going on about. Since none of it matters, once the relics appear, chaos will reign. He recalls that in 2025, earthquakes struck all over the world and tombs emerged from the ground containing relics pulled from myths, legends, fables, and literature. Ancient stories carry real power, and those who possess relics gain different abilities, so everyone rushed to find them. He himself unearthed the archaeologist relic and hit the jackpot, gaining information about tombs and relics, and said goodbye to his miserable old life, thinking he could finally start over. But soldiers blocked the excavation site because the company TKBM held the excavation rights. The archaeologists refused to accept it, but seeing that the soldiers wouldn't hesitate to kill them, they backed down. That was when everything changed. TKBM's president, Kwon Tae-jun, along with other relic holders, banned everyone else from excavating new relics. Luckily, Joo-hyun's talent as an archaeologist got him recruited, and he ended up taking on every kind of dirty job: smuggling, theft, espionage, tomb raiding, infiltrating tombs the government had sealed off, and stealing the relics inside, which is how Kwon Tae-jun built his fortune. Julian became despised by the other excavators for essentially being Quan's lackey, but he wasn't doing it for pleasure. He endured every kind of humiliation for a purpose, only to be betrayed and set up. Back in his cell, he reflects that the relics will surface again soon, and the world will fall into chaos. And although he's stronger now, that alone won't be enough. He needs capital to excavate, and wonders how to get it. Suddenly, a notification pops up in front of him titled Tomb Raider Seo Juhyun, and he wonders if he's losing his mind and hallucinating, before realizing only relics can produce something this strange, and starts yelling at the crow to show itself, asking if it's been secretly watching him. Another pop-up informs him that his basic archaeologist skills are at 1 of 4, and that he currently has the probe skill at rank F, which irritates him enough to tell the crow that his life isn't a game. But then, yet another window appears with a new quest. Activate all 4 basic archaeologist skills. He complains about now having quests too, until the guard tells him to keep quiet. Wondering if he's the only one who can see these windows, he decides to test the skill and discovers he can see perfectly within a 1-meter radius. The power of the archaeologist relic, which he still retains even without owning it. He wonders what the crow could be scheming, since relics gain nothing from making humans happy. But his thoughts are cut off by Jianwu, who turns out to be his lawyer. Leaving the police station, Jianwu tells him he had bad luck, that the kid is a repeat offender who should be the one behind bars, and tells Juhyun to relax since he'll take care of everything. Juhyun thanks him, catching Jianwu off guard, who jokingly asks if he's turned into a normal person. Now, as Jianwu laughs, Juhyun reflects that this man is Inspector Kim Jianwu, who raised him since he has no family of his own. On the way home, Juhyun asks if there have been any strange cases lately. Monster possessions, superpowers, that sort of thing, worrying Jianwu, who asks if he's really okay. But speaking of superpowers, Jianwu muses that his own wife might have some, since she always manages to find the money he tries to hide from her. Juhyun just smiles, figuring there likely aren't any relic users yet, though he knows the tombs have already appeared without anyone claiming them, giving him the perfect head start. The problem is, he has no money, and the first tombs appeared in Europe and America. His thoughts are interrupted by a group of people who seem to recognize him, asking why he isn't at work. But Juhyun only smiles, having just found his source of funding. Among the thugs is Park Kyunggate, a former mobster turned art dealer who runs a gallery with his sister, Kyungju. Juhyun recalls that back in high school he needed money and worked for them, even though they paid him next to nothing and regularly beat him. One of the thugs steps up and demands to know why he isn't answering, threatening to beat it out of him, but instead it's Juhyun who delivers the beating. The others are stunned as he announces that, as of today, he's quitting and wants his severance prepared. Park Kyunggate just laughs and tells him it's time to settle the score. Though in the end, the score favors Juhyun, who beats Park soundly. When the rest of the thugs see their boss get beaten, they all charge at once, but Juhyun takes them all down. As they panic, he smiles, knowing this is the payoff of 15 years of training, though he also realizes he still lacks raw strength and needs to finish this quickly. Furious, Park decides to punish him properly, but his subordinate warns him against drawing that sword, since it could cause serious trouble. Park tells him to shut up, and Juhyun, catching sight of the blade, wonders what Park is doing with a relic, though he figures he shouldn't overthink it, since relics do exist among ordinary people outside the tombs. Park lunges at him, and Juhyun smiles, recognizing the perfect opportunity to claim his very first relic. Juhyun easily dodges every one of the attacks, quickly disarms him, and threatens him with a dagger. The rest of the idiots panic, and once Juhyun finally takes the sword, he shows them exactly how it's used. Activating his relic lets him see straight through people as if with X-ray vision, and moving at incredible speed, almost invisibly, he stabs all of them just enough to take them out of the fight. Though the wounds are shallow, everyone panics, realizing he actually stabbed them for real, and Juhyun advises them to clear out if they don't want to end up dead. Terrified, they all comply and immediately report back to their boss that they were beaten by Juhyun. She can't believe it until her brother tells her Juhyun took all their money along with a Buddha statue. Furious, she orders them to track him down immediately. Meanwhile, as Juhyun examines the Buddha statue, he recalls an antiques dealer once telling him it was worthless junk not worth selling. Yet the dealer had seemed oddly nervous, which told him it couldn't be just a trinket. Using his probe skill, he detects a suspicious substance hidden inside the statue, cracks it open, and realizes the statue was never meant to be sold in a shop. It was really a container for what was inside. He contacts Jianwu, and after a while Jianwu shows up with the boss's brother in custody, informing her she's being arrested for drug trafficking. The woman panics, thinking she's been caught, but refuses to give up and demands to know what evidence they have right as the radio crackles with a report that 600 works of art stuffed with substances of questionable origin have been found. She panics further, wondering how they managed to trace it back to her when each piece had a different access code, until Juhyun gets on the phone and casually tells her that codes need to be changed every so often. then wishes her luck in prison, and reminds her to live decently before hanging up. Enraged, she vows she'll make him pay. Later, as Joo-hyun strolls through the streets, Ji-woo texts him letting him know he'll be getting 10 million as a reward and hopes he won't blow it all. Excited that he finally has enough funds to start his journey, Joo-hyun decides to sleep and begin exploring tombs the next day, only to be startled when he realizes his old house used to stand right where he is now. But all that remains is a massive mound of earth, meaning a tomb has likely surfaced there. He's not sure if it's good or bad luck, since he's now technically homeless. On arrival, he spots a mysterious woman on the phone saying the government still doesn't know about the tombs and that the explosions will begin soon. Apparently, no one has located this particular tomb yet, giving them an edge. A mysterious man then appears in front of her, addressing her as Linda Walker. Startled, she asks what an event archaeologist is doing there, and he replies he could say the same about her since she's from the United States. This man turns out to be Kiyoshi Abe. Linda calls him nothing more than a thief, and Abe retorts that they're exactly alike, since they're both practically racing each other to claim relics first. Joo-hyun realizes he's looking at CIA schemers and clowns from the Republic of Bento and finds it curious that Linda mentioned explosions, meaning they still don't know how to properly deal with the tomb, which tells him there are no real experts yet, giving him the perfect chance to get ahead of them. Tomb glyphs, the language of relics, appear before him, tracing themselves across the tomb's surface and quickly helping him locate the entrance. As he starts reading them, a system message informs him he's gained a new skill called Languages at rank F, along with the title Excellent Decoder. Excited that he now only needs 2 more skills, he wastes no time forcing the entrance open, triggering a massive visual spectacle that alerts everyone nearby to the tomb's opening. Abe and Linda immediately sprint toward the entrance while Joo-hyun, already well ahead of them, has been inside the tomb for a while. Using a lighter and following the glyphs, he eventually finds a small spring. When he tosses his relic into it, the water begins to tremble and a strange voice booms through the chamber, noting it has a visitor. A massive serpent appears before him, though it can't quite see him at first. Joo-hyun reveals his location, and the serpent remarks that he's rather clumsy for having dropped a sword, opening its mouth to ask which one he lost, the gold one or the silver one. Joo-hyun recognizes this as the tale of the golden axe and silver axe. Though he privately thinks axe is a stretch, he'd have believed it if it said machete, recalling this is a famous story based on Hermes and a greedy woodcutter. Anyone could pass this test, but now the relic is going to be his. The serpent asks him to choose already. Joo-hyun apologizes, saying it's neither of the two. The serpent, sensing his honesty, reveals its actual dagger and asks if that belongs to him. Joo-hyun realizes this is a clever trap. If he claims it, he'd receive both axes plus his own sword. But there's always a catch, so he asks the serpent if he can first check whether it's really his sword. It tells him to do as he pleases, and once he takes hold of the blade, Joo-hyun immediately strikes at the massive serpent. It changes color and demands to know what he thinks he's doing, but Joo-hyun tells it to be quiet. Since he doesn't trust relics, he has no guarantee it would have handed anything over even if he passed the test. And besides, accepting those swords would have turned him into a serial killer? Startled, the serpent asks how he knows that. And Joo-hyun recalls that the real-world incident took place in the United States, where the golden and silver axes ended up controlling their owner and turning him into a serial killer. Refusing to let that happen to him, he drives his dagger into the serpent's head. It asks if he really thinks that's enough to subdue it. But Joo-hyun is only getting started, driving the blade in deeper as the serpent writhes violently across the chamber. He reflects that camaraderie, intimacy, and cooperating with a relic isn't the path he's after. Sure, you can obtain good relics through control, compatibility, or a good relationship, but that's not what he's after. He intends to dominate them, because in this new life, he will be the one in control. As the serpent keeps thrashing and orders him to get off, Joo-hyun refuses to let up. It dives into the water. But he doesn't even flinch, refusing to submit to any relic in this life. He won't rely on camaraderie. He will subjugate them. He orders the serpent to accept defeat or be destroyed, asking if it really thinks he's bluffing. The serpent panics and begs him to stop, still struggling to break free, but Joo-hyun keeps up the pressure until its scales start falling away and it dissolves into water. Joo-hyun smiles, remarking that the fool only made things harder for himself when he could have simply surrendered. He obtains the golden and silver axes, along with the title Tomb Explorer and the basic skill Excavation, meaning he now needs just one more basic skill to complete his objective. As he wonders what's left to do, another message announces he's also earned the title Relic Intimacy Expert, which boosts his control while reducing camaraderie, leaving him to wonder if that damn crow is mocking him. His thoughts are interrupted as Abe and Linda finally reach the spring, though Joo-hyun is already hidden. Without hesitation, Abe throws a relic into the lake and wonders why nothing is happening. Joo-hyun figures they've arrived far too late and slips away, while Linda asks asks Abe what exactly he's doing. He can't understand why nothing's occurring, since according to the prophet, he was supposed to throw a relic into the lake. Linda realizes that means someone in Bento holds a prophecy relic. Abe realizes he's said too much, but at that moment the entire area starts collapsing, forcing them to run for their lives. Meanwhile, back at the Kian Gallery, the thugs' underlings complain that the police cleared everything out and left nothing behind, and now that the boss has been arrested too, they're all out of work. Realizing it's all Juhyun's fault, they decide it's time to make him pay. Sungwoo declares he's a man of his word and is going to beat him down. And the other two idiots hype him up, but the moment Juhyun calls, all that bravado evaporates. Somewhat sheepishly, Sungwoo answers and Juhyun asks what exactly he thinks he's doing. When he hesitates to respond, Juhyun asks if he wants to die. Sungwoo tries to act tough, demanding respect for his elders, but Juhyun tells him to shut up and lets him know he has a job for them. Meanwhile, Abe reports that his mission failed, but he's told that was already foreseen. He can't believe it, but he's informed that word later came through that a Korean had beaten him to it. Abe complains no one warned him, but he's reminded that he already knows how the boss operates, and he's told to stay alert and keep working hard. With a warning to be especially careful of this Korean since there's an unresolved prophecy suggesting this Korean will swallow the world whole. Meanwhile, Juhyun tells the trio of failures he needs to sneak into Midas, the world's largest secret auction being held in Las Vegas, believing it might reveal something about himself if he can get in. He orders the three of them to attend that month's auction and search for certain items, as well as for a man going by Jack Kamen, which Juhyun suspects is a fake identity for Kwon Tae-jun. Sungwoo protests, asking how on earth they're supposed to get in, but Juhyun simply tells them to figure it out, assuring them he'll pay for the job so money isn't a concern. They can either go without complaint or face a brutal beating. Knowing he's dead serious, they wisely keep their mouths shut. Sometime later, with everything ready, Juhyun prepares to set off and begin hunting relics. Before departing, he catches news of a fourth random murder that month, where the suspect behaved strangely and later tried to take his own life by setting himself on fire. Juhyun recalls there were plenty of strange cases like this, even before the tombs first appeared. Just then, Abe bumps into him and, being rather full of himself, demands an apology. But Juhyun just stands there thinking, recognizing him as the man he beat to the tomb earlier. Realizing that if Abe is here, a tomb must be about to appear nearby. He notices a relic tucked in Abe's clothes and suspects it might be the very one he's after. Ignoring him entirely, Juhyun walks on, infuriating Abe, who grabs his shoulder, giving Juhyun the perfect opening to douse him with his soda. Abe erupts, screaming that Juhyun will have to pay since the outfit is expensive. Juhyun apologizes while using the moment to lift the relic off him, also picking up his ID from the ground and asking if it's his. Abe grows nervous, wondering if his identity has been exposed, since he absolutely cannot let anyone know he's here. But suddenly, a massive earthquake strikes. The city descends into panic, the sky darkens, and Juhyun smiles, knowing he's hit the mark. A tomb is about to surface right there. He walks off, satisfied, while Abe receives a call informing him the sealing process has just begun. The prophet tells him he already knew, and also foresaw that the Korean who stole from him is very close by, though even the prophet isn't sure what that means, only warning Abe to be extremely careful around alcohol, which leaves Abe stunned, wondering if the Korean he ran into really is the one from the prophecy.